A full house on POSTCAST tonight after the Utah Jazz fall at the buzzer. Scoot Henderson fades away after Lauri Markkanen tied it on a three. We got a lot to talk about in a busy night in Portland. It's next on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone, of course, and joined by ESPN's Kevin Pelton here as the Portland Trailblazers defeat the Utah Jazz 122-120 in a really fun game. The Portland Trailblazers outscoring the Jazz, scoring 41 points, I think was the final total in the fourth quarter tonight. Jazz defense unable to get stops. A lot of great experience for young players. In the final sequence, Lauri buries a three to tie it, and then with Nate Bjorkman filling in for Chauncey Billups, doesn't call a timeout. Scoot Henderson comes off a DeAndre Ayton pick, gets Walker Kessler switched on him. Kessler plays, I think, pretty good defense, gets him in the lane, turns around, fades back, and hits the button shot with 0.1 seconds left, Ron. Tough way to lose one. Fun game tonight.
Well, all you want to do, well, not all you want to, you like to win basketball games, but you want to definitely give yourself a chance to win it, whether it's down the stretch, last few seconds or whatever, but you want to stay in basketball games, give yourself a chance to win it. Now, Jazz lost the lead a few times, and was unable to regain, if you want to put it that way. But the fact that they were in the basketball game just gave themselves a chance to win, especially with the lineup that Jazz are putting out there on the floor.
Yeah, I thought it was important experience down the stretch for Cody Williams and Isaiah Collier in the situation. And I think you undersold. Like, I think Kessler played terrific defense. I didn't think Scoot was going to be able to muscle that ball up to the basket, but, you know, he was able to get enough arc on it, and it was a terrific finish by him. But I don't think that takes anything away from what the Jazz did defensively on that possession.
And two possessions before, Scoot Henderson brought it up, beat Isaiah. Collier stood up a little bit. Reminded me of the old Alec Burks day when you used to talk about how you remember?
Yeah,
like you can't you gotta only have to make one move defensively. You can't get into the crouch and then go. You gotta just be able to. Collier stood up, Scoot went, got him, and Kessler came over and saved the game there for a minute with that defense of the rim. So another good night there for Walker. The Jazz, pretty incredible if the Jazz actually lose this game, because the Jazz tonight from three-point range finished 21 of 42. I'm going to go out on the limb that if I put those two things into a database, 20-plus threes and 50% shooting, that they may be the first team that's lost a game all year doing that.
Yeah, they should have won this ball game with shooting that type of a percentage, from the three-point line. And you just don't give up a lead. And the Jazz had a 15-point lead. And with the lineup that Will had out there on the floor, obviously, some occasions, was not an offensive lineup, and they ended up losing the lead.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good defensive lineup either. Not 41 points, but
it's the modern NBA now. I think there are probably a lot of situations where a team made 23s and shot 50% from three, but ran up against another team that did the same thing. The fact that Portland didn't do that, is a little distressing. But to go back to Walker Kessler, you mentioned that last play. There was a sequence in the first half that didn't really come up on the broadcast that I thought was really impressive. I think it was Collier maybe got beat weak side on that one. I think it was someone. It wasn't Collier. It must have been Sexton. And Kessler came over just enough to deter and take away the backdoor pass on that backdoor cut. Then recovered to his own man and blocked a shot and created a stop out of it. I was really impressed by what I saw from Walker defensively tonight, not having seen him in person yet this season.
We watched them work on defense, and they're working on defense quite a bit in practice and shoot-arounds, and they're working on trapping and releasing out of it. Walker Kessler, this morning, they had him calling out defense. As long as they kept him in the middle of the floor, as long as Kessler was in the middle of the floor, calling out defense, and that let his teammates know what they were in. Few mistakes, but as long as they practice those things, sooner or later they'll get good at it.
It's an interesting one we shared this openly broadcast, that kind of the bar conversation last night, as the Jazz generously kind of had us a Christmas event for us here, is Walker Kessler a top 15 defensive player in the NBA? So are there 15 players, Lou Dort, like wing and big guys, in the league better than Walker Kessler right now?
I mean, I'm such a believer in big man defense that I would say no, and I would say probably as a rookie, there were not necessarily 15 players the way he played that season. I think last year was maybe a bit of a step back, but one of the things we see time and time again is development is not always linear in this league, and he's taken, not only made up for any step backwards last season, but gone beyond where he was playing as a rookie. I think top 10 is fair potentially for Walker Kessler.
I think it's fair there as well, especially the way he's second in the league in blocking shots. And I don't know if you watched him block shots, and David and I talk about this quite a bit, where he blocks shots with both hands. And depending on what side the rim he's on. And what that means is that if he's blocking a shot to the point where he doesn't have to reach across the defender's body to block the shot, then he's using the right hand. And he's just so good at that. That's something you can't teach. And he does that very well. But going forward, I think his defense is going to make him maybe an all-star one year.
We'll talk about
that's reaching. That's a stretch.
That's big.
Maybe an all-star.
That's a big step. We'll talk about some of the individual players. Isaiah Collier got the second start of his NBA career, and that as we continue here. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On, because right now new customers get $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, do live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, get started with $150 in bonus bets. I think there might be a Christmas special as well. Check out. It might be more than that. For a $5 bet, that's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And if you're looking to get to the game, see an exciting one like this one, then download the Game Time app. Game Time, with the 5 features that make it the perfect ticket app for you. Curation of Game Time picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and you do not have to fiddle with thousands of tickets that are available. Instead, Game Time knows your preferences, gets the tickets for you so you can see your favorite team live, even easier, filtering out all the fluff on incredible tickets. Plus, all-in pricing, toggle that feature on, seat view on your seats, lowest price guarantee, and Game Time ticket coverage. So download the Game Time app now, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Ron Boone, Isaiah Collier. Yes, go ahead.
We could be just as critical, I think, of the Jazz, the way they lost this basketball game, or we can be compliment the Portland Trailblazers. I don't know which one we want to do, but I think defensively, both teams had problems defensively in spurts, sometimes. And
particularly after the first quarter was such a defensive quarter,
yeah,
to have the final numbers put on the board was definitely a statement that the defenses kind of fell by the wayside. Both teams' offensive ratings were over 120 tonight. The one I would give the Blazers credit for tonight is the same thing I'd give the Jazz credit for this kind of whole road trip, which is, if there's a theme of this road trip for the Jazz, it's been that when things got tough, they didn't crack. They held things together. They fought together. Their team camaraderie seems to be more collective. They have a little faith in each other. They know, Will Hardy's kind of said, hey, we've built the foundation by which we can improve now. I'd give the Blazers credit on the same thing tonight, because the Jazz really controlled this game the entire first half and then most of the third quarter until the Blazers kind of surged. The Jazz, I think, led by 8 at the end. The Blazers really only controlled the game for about the final 7 minutes and maybe even less of this game.
Yeah. You find one player in Seif who had a great night shooting the basketball game, and that probably separated the Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers there for a minute. But then what happened in the fourth quarter? I mean, what player from the Portland Trailblazers comes to life and he scores? What did he get in the
Well, Ovid had 27.
Yeah, he ended up with, in the second half for the most. So he had 8 points at the half and ends up with 27 points. So it was him that got hot and started taking over the basketball game.
Fourth quarter numbers, specifically Denny Advada, 4 for 4 from the field, 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 14 points, 4 rebounds. Jazz got 8 from Lauri late. He hit the big 3. They got 7 from Isaiah Collier. This is an interesting night. Collier has 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He also had 4 turnovers, Ron, late in that fourth quarter, playing all 12 minutes. What are you seeing out of that youngster? He got 35 minutes tonight, 7 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, but I think 6 turns.
As much as we compliment him on his speed, we can also be critical of him of his speed, meaning he gets himself in trouble sometimes and not being able to finish at the rim, not creative enough to finish at the rim, and maybe over guys like that we can be just as critical. I think he's got a lot to learn, and hopefully he can get there.
it's the old John Woodenism: be quick but don't hurry. And that's the distinction that a lot of these young guards are still learning in the league. And we saw tonight a Scoot Henderson who, in year 2, and after a lot of ups and downs during the first couple of months in year 2, delivered kind of more of a finished product. And I think it'll be very fascinating to see where Isaiah Collier is another year into his development.
Good point.
And neither of them are good shooters, so they're both trying to figure out how they can score without the shot. Scoot's a more advanced shooter than Isaiah. Isaiah's shooting has been really limited in that. Svi Mykhailiuk and Drew Eubanks deserve a shout-out before we wrap this baby up. I mean, it is, to me, it's a testament to just how much talent's in this league, because these are 2 minimum players. Drew's not minimum. He's about $5 million.
But it was last year.
Yeah, the year before he was. I mean, these are guys that, are not regular rotation players on this team who, when they get out there, are certainly more than capable of being rotation players on this roster.
I agree.
Johnny Juzang, too. I mean, he's someone who's graduated a little bit off that minimum contract into a more important role in the Utah rotation. But between Svi and Johnny Juzang, you end up with, I think, 9 3-pointers from that small forward or that shooting guard position tonight.
All right, you're going to like this. This is right up your alley. So instead of 3 hockey stars, which we could do because, Utah's a hockey town now, instead of a player of the game, we give out reliability pluses, because what Will Hardy really wants this year is development and players that are reliably consistent. So who tonight on the Utah Jazz put out an effort and a productive effort that would give you, that you would say is a reliability plus, that if Will Hardy got this every night, he'd be like, yep, that's solid for me. Who gets reliability pluses tonight, Kevin Pelton?
I think you would have to go with Lauri. Have to go with Svi and Eubanks, as you just mentioned, and then Walker Kessler as well. Not there offensively necessarily, but controlled the glass a lot of this game, and we talked about his impact as a rim protector.
We could give it to Kessler, I think, a lot, strictly because of his defense, and obviously he deserves it tonight. And I think if you wanted,
can I jump in there for a second? Yeah. That's the whole point of the reliability plus, is that we're giving it to Walker every night, because Walker has become reliable and has made the jump as a third-year player, that he is now night in and night out consistently performing at the level of a solid NBA starter or rotation player in the NBA. It's a massive moment for him.
I would go with Eubanks there as well, because I thought when he was on the floor, the Jazz were solid. They increased their lead at that time, and he played well. Don't get a chance to give it to him so far this year, so I think I would give him one there.
And I would add Johnny Juzang on that list. If he gives you 14 points in 15 minutes off the bench, I don't care what he did defensively.
Right.
I'll take that from, and I don't think he was bad or good tonight, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, Eubanks, one shy, I looked this up, his career high of field goals without a miss was 7 for 7 when he was in San Antonio. It was 6 of 6 tonight. They don't call him the Shaq of Troutdale for nothing, but also he made a 3, and I don't remember Shaq doing that.
The Shaq of Troutdale.
I wanted to get that in at some point tonight.
Who dunked a Tillamook cheese tonight? All of the Pacific Northwest mentions all in one time. That's Kevin Pelton. He's Ron Boone. I'm David Locke. Thanks for tuning in and joining us tonight for this special edition of POSTCAST with the great Kevin Pelton. Have a great night. Check out Locked on NBA's daily, every night, 7 days a week on the game night following every game. Have a good one. See you.